Welcome to Soul Synergy Network, a space for healing, conversations, soulful insights, and whole person wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Irma E. Diaz, and today I'm honored to welcome a guest whose life's work has touched thousands of lives, particularly within the Latino community. He's a nationally and internationally respected psychologist, community advocate, and transformational leader in the field of behavioral health, Dr. Luis M. Garcia. For over 25 years, Dr. Garcia has been a champion for culturally competent mental health care. He's developed suicide prevention programs, trained professionals in how to meet diverse communities with dignity, and helped shape mental health policy on local, state, and national levels. From his work at Pacific Clinics to his leadership on national advisory boards, he has consistently emphasized what so many have overlooked: that healing must honor culture, community, and lived experience. Dr. Garcia joins us today to speak about resilience, burnout, stigma, and what wellness looks like when it includes the voices and traditions of the communities it serves. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin this important conversation. Welcome, Dr. Garcia. I am honored to have you as a guest today.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. It's a truly honor and pleasure to be in your program and also with all your audience. Thank you for inviting me.
Your career spans decades of advocacy and innovation. What inspired your journey into mental health, particularly with Latino communities?
Well, I think after 30 years, since I was a child and adolescence, where I grew up, in the city of Guadalajara, Mexico, I see many pain, many issues regarding mental health, and including my family, including myself. I can dealing with some issues, and I think was in some way something that inspired me in order to be in this profession. How I can help, friends, how I can help family members. So when I was in college, I made the decision to switch my career because at the first time I was planning to be a civil engineer. I want to be an engineer. Wow. And again, after all the things that happened in my family and my community, I decided to move and be a psychologist. And after, again, 35 years of doing this kind of work, no regrets. And I think I'm blessed that, I am in this field.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Was there a moment in your work that made you realize just how deeply stigma was impacting access to care?
Yes. I think everything started, like I say, with my own family. When I see my uncles dealing with substance abuse, alcohol, and I think the main issue was not knowing how can regulate these emotions and feelings that they have, how they can, based on the challenge that we have in our lives, how we can, again, be able to express these feelings, these emotions that sometimes is extremely hard for anybody in order to say, you know what, I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling lonely, or I don't know what I'm planning to do in the next year. And I think based on that and the stigma that nobody wants to talk about it, the biggest stigma, because this is, again, in the 70s, wow, was a huge impact in the whole family, in the whole community, because if you say something, not only the own family will say, you know what, you are so weak. You have to be strong. You know what, you're a man. You're planning to be the provider. You're planning to be the leader. You need to be strong. And based on that, again, nobody wants to say anything. But again, I call la máscara, the mask that we use, the mask in order to hide the pain, the mask to hide the fears, and the mask that we use, again, with the whole community that I'm okay, but inside you have the pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Isn't that something? And I know in the Latino community, it's even more so. The machismo and all that. We've talked about it. We've all talked about it, And
I was planning to even say it's more in males too, because again, the machismo is the man that needs to be strong, the man that needs to be the leader of the family, the man that has to go outside and represent your family in the right way. Don't be weak. Don't show any emotions, because
Right.
after you do that, they don't have respect for you. And
Right.
again, I think everything is changing, but again, stigma is one of the big issue in our community. I think with females, we have more flexibility. And always I say, females, that's the support, that's the pillar that we have in our families. El matriarcado, they are the people that they call the shots in our house. Sometimes, again, males, we think, or even we say outside of the house, yeah, I am the guy that, make all the shots and everything. And again, that's the mask. It's not true. Behind us, we have, again, the female, the mother of our kids, our sisters, our mothers, which they are so strong and they help in order to move the family in the right level of wellness and the right level of let's go be in peace and let's go make the solutions together.
Right.
So I think it's so important in order to recognize all the work that these wonderful females they do, mothers, sisters, wives, partners, again, la madre, la que trasciende, they
Yes.
transcend when they provide all these kind of elements for the family.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And just moving to the cultural competence, you often speak about the importance of culturally competent care. What does that really mean? And why does it matter for both clinicians and communities?
Let me give you a context. This is something that came out probably 25, 30 years ago under the SAMS administration, after many studies that we have with people of color, not only with Latinos or even with APIs, Asian Pacific Islanders, or even African American, or even LGBTQ, excuse me, they see the inequalities that we have with people of color regarding two main components. So number one, access of care. Number two, the utilization of the services that we have in the system for people for whatever the diagnosis. Can be bipolar disorder, can be depression, can be schizophrenia. So SAMHSA put together a committee in order to have what they call the class standards. Class standards mean cultural and linguistic appropriate services for people of color. Why is important cultural incompetency? It's important because cultural factors will influence the diagnosis of your client and the treatment too. So we need to know, again, the cultural competency care include what is the ideology, the values, the beliefs, the traditions, the customs, the lenses of the mental health treatment or the lenses of the psychology or counseling treatment that you're planning to provide for the client, but also the whole family.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody that provide the cultural competency care, whatever the ethnicity can be, again, it's important to be not only competent regarding the cultural awareness, but also the linguistic ability to provide the services in the language that even they can be bilingual. But we know that emotions and feelings most of the time is expressed by your primary language.
Isn't that something? And, I'm thinking about it as we're talking. I'm thinking about grief counseling and the fact that even in grief counseling, everybody has different traditions on how they grieve and what is appropriate, what isn't. And, some people say you shouldn't do this for a year. You should wear black for a year. There's all these different traditions and cultures. And it helps me to be able to understand those when I go into, for example, a grief group and everybody's from different walks of life and different traditions. So it's very important to be culturally competent and to understand and to respect and bring dignity to everybody's background. And so that's a very important factor,
I think you mentioned two components that are so important. And I think well said, Dr. Diaz, respect and dignity.
Yes.
Regardless the story, the unique story of the family, regardless the diagnosis of the client, regardless the clinical interventions that you plan to provide for this client, respect and dignity, that's two components that most of the people they will really appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes them feel more comfortable.
Of course, that's the engagement part. That's when they say, you know what? Again, they don't plan to ask you if you plan to do maybe trauma focused CBT, or you plan to do incredible years for the kid, or interpersonal psychotherapy. But what they say is, you know what? You have respect and you have dignity for myself. And they will come back to treatment, because this is what happened when you don't have somebody with cultural competency, skills. Most of these clients, the average specific with Latinos is only 7 to 9 sessions, and they stop treatment. Why is the reason? Because they stop treatment because they don't find the right person to understand all these cultural factors that we mentioned before.
You've developed programs addressing suicide prevention. What are the core components of this work? And what would you say to families navigating that fear or silence?
Yeah, this is something that I always recognize in any interview and any program I do, to former Congresswoman Grace Napolitano, which in 1999 called me in order to partner with her and do a suicide prevention program here in Los Angeles County, specific in Santa Fe Springs and other cities, suicide prevention program with adolescents and children. The core values of this program, I think it was not in some way easy to do it because, again, the stigma that we have with the Latinos and with families. But in order to avoid, again, and we find through 2 studies, one of the study also led by Dr. Jane Delgado, the name is The State of the Hispanic Girls, that Latinas was the young group in the whole country to consider or attempt suicide, not in fatalities, but also consider or attempt suicide. So based on that, again, was the baseline. I developed the program based on 3 main components. One is to do early prevention. I really believe in early prevention for these children, for these adolescents. The second component was, let's go do field services or mobile services, which mean we plan to be in the schools. We plan to provide the services in the school and the house and the park and the restaurant, wherever the family is available. We don't plan to wait for them. We plan to go and meet what they are. Mm-hmm. So 85% of the services since we started the program in 2000 was in the field. It was, we have only medication services. And again, only 10, 20% of the services was in the clinic. But the rest was in the field services. And the last one, the third component, the third core value is we work with the family. Mm-hmm. The family needs to participate. Even if they have 2 jobs, we work Saturdays. We work late hours. Our program was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We close 8 o'clock. Okay. So we don't have, and Saturday was from 9 o'clock all the way to 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any excuse, and family needs to have participation. The policy was at least 2 times a month participate in the therapy session with the client. So this is the 3 specific components that I designed the program for the suicide component. Obviously, most of the people that I have in the program, the clinicians, I have to select the people not only with a license, because again, it was a special program for the county, mm-hmm. was a special program for SAMHSA, is how Congresswoman Napolitano get the funding, but it's specific to have the people with the right skills and ability and clinical knowledge in order to write 5150s, meaning which is hold the client and for 72 hours, if considered suicide, made a suicide safety plan for the whole family, for the client. So we start with 4 schools in the year 2000, and in 2022, when I leave Pacific Clinics, we have 37 schools doing the suicide prevention program.
That's incredible, all those people being touched. In our podcast, we have a very versatile audience. Some of our listeners are from underserved communities and others professionals who want to serve better. What advice do you have for bringing cultural care with humility into the wellness space?
I think the first component is training. I think training is so specific. We have different levels of cultural competency. One of that ones is you mentioned, Dr. Irma, the humility, but also we have cultural knowledge, cultural awareness, self-awareness. We have 7 levels of cultural competency. I think the first component is the training for the training for the staff regarding cultural competency. I think the second component is, again, respect, dignity since the first session. This is something, again, for me, very important. Listen to the family, listen to the client, listen the story. And I think for a lot of professionals, specific, when they dealing with these hard cases, because these very complicated cases, try to find the best practices that we have. One of the things that sometimes, again, is inconsistent with the best practices is because a lot of these clinical trials with best practices is now with people of color. 85-90% is with the mainstream population, which is Caucasian. But again, with cultural competency skills, I think as you made the modification, you made the adjustment, and you can utilize whatever clinical practice you have or you are certified, and you can implement that.
Right.
And again, sometimes when you understand the beliefs, the lenses, the values, the traditions, the customs, the hierarchy in the family, is more easy that your client and the family plan to participate and stay in treatment for these specific issues.
It makes so much sense. It's so important. So burnout is something you've seen not just in clients, but in providers, in caregivers, and community leaders. How do you personally maintain balance while doing such emotionally charged work?
Correct. And you're absolutely right. I think COVID-19 exposed the whole system, not ready for this kind of emergencies or urgencies that we have. Healthcare, because sometimes people 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours was overwhelmed, and see these people with the compassion that they have, the sensitivity that they have, they burn out. And always I say to my staff, I start with myself. So let me say that. One of the principles I have to be okay with myself. I have to take care of myself. Even if I'm working, too many hours, I need to know my limits, and I need to know when I have to take 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, or even the whole week off.
Right.
And I think that this is one of the first advice that I say to all these people. You know what? In order to provide health to other people, we need to be the model. We need to be congruent with ourselves and what we try to do with the other people. Because I think wellness starts with ourselves. And when we are okay, I think you will provide the best advice for your staff, because they say, yes, you take 2 days or 3 days, and you exercise, or you health daily bit that you have. So I think this is something that's important, but not only yourself, but also your family too. Because again, el familismo exists, is one of the huge components and one of the big protective factors that we have in our cultura. El familismo, colectivismo. So all this burnout, especially right now with the current immigration policies that create a huge psychological impact in 3 levels: individual level, family level, community level, is the same thing. It's a lot of people very tense, a lot of people that don't feel okay, a lot of people, remember, and people of color, they express symptoms of depression or anxiety in a physical way. So what is the meaning physical way? If I say, Luis, how are you? I feel okay, but I feel very tired. I feel with the stomach ache. I have even headaches. My whole body is, I don't know, something is wrong. Low energy is the physical expression of these depression symptoms.
Right.
And I think we need to be aware. For me, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. Something is wrong. You need to go and take care of yourself. And I am the first one and say, you know what? You need to go. You need to take
Absolutely.
care some time.
Yeah. So two things. The first thing is, so when I was in Brazil, I remember noticing how they would take vacations with their families and with their friends, like every 3 months, sometimes 4 months, 3 or 4 months. They would go away, and it didn't have to be an expensive vacation. It was just something to get away. And I thought about that and how we should do that, and we never do that. And so I think that the point you're making is so very important with self-care. And the other thing that I wanted to say, since you brought it up, I was going to wait toward the end, but you had a fabulous event about a week and a half ago, and it was on mental health in the Latino community based on today, based on now. A lot of people are going to hear this right now, especially for the families that are going through deportation. What would you say is important to share right now?
Yes, I think based again, these immigration policies is again a huge psychological impact in many families, but also in the communities too. And I think it's important to even provide this information to them. Like, don't hold the emotions and the feelings that you have. Don't internalize these emotions and feelings, because in the short term and even mid term and long term will be a huge impact in your health. It's better to express all these feelings and these emotions and speak with your family member, with your friend, with your neighbor about how you feel, how these issues impact yourself, why you feel sad, why you feel in the way that is maybe injustice, what they are doing right now. Because there's a lot of fear, it's a lot of resentment for a lot of people, meaning angry. So I think it's important that these families, we have the resiliencia, the resilient component, but it's not only that. I think we need to move forward with that. Yes, we have it. It's in our DNA for generations, maybe 11 generations, maybe 12 generations, whatever, how many. But you know what? We need to ask for help. We need to ask help. And I think what the example that you put from Brazil is very important. Yes, not only every 3 months. Always I say to my friends, to my family, listen, sometimes you don't need to spend a lot of money or go to these maybe fancy vacations. No, you can go, like I go with my friends to see a soccer game, to see a boxing match, to see a baseball game. Right now, the playoffs with the basketball, and we do pitching. We buy some tacos. We everybody bring food and everything, and you spend all the afternoon over there watching the game and everything, and you talking with your friends and everything about everything, including some problems with the family, some problems that happen right now in our communities, and you feel better because you
Right.
express all these emotions and feelings.
Yeah, it's iron sharpens iron, you know? It's
Correct.
yeah, iron sharpens iron, and we build each other up, and we need each other, and we do need to reach out for help. It really is something. So what gives you hope today, despite the challenges we still face in mental health equity?
Well, I think we have many people working in these issues. I think you are one of these people, to inform the community, working with not only with myself, but with other colleagues. And I think we have, again, many, many, many colleagues and people and friends and families and community members that they have the compassion and sensitivity in order to move forward. I think if we work together, if we have respect for we give you the dignity, they will be open and they will work with us. And that's my hope, because I think the new generation will take over. We need to provide some help for them. We need to teach them. We need to work together. We can learn from them either too.
Yeah.
Sometimes we assume because our age, our experience, we know everything. And no, we believe me, we have a lot of learning to do with these young people. So I think can be in both ways a win-win situation. And I think the hope is there, because I know, like I say, not only one or two. No, I know a lot of people that we are working together to have a better communities, better wellness for everyone, not only for, again, the families, but for everyone.
Absolutely. If you could speak directly to a young person listening today, perhaps a child of immigrants or someone struggling silently, what would you want them to know?
Well, I think to speak out. I think it's better to speak out, release these emotions and feelings versus keep it inside, internalize. Always is an options. And the options come out when you speak out. The options come out when you try to get help because there's a lot of help outside. But some people, again, because the stigma, because in the way that sometimes we see our family members or even the community and the shame and the embarrassing, we don't say anything. But it's better that to speak. It's better that you say how you feel. It's better to, share where you are and you will get help. And I think one of the components too that we need to bring it on maybe in another program is the spirituality too.
Yes.
The faith is a huge component too.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah. Dr. Garcia, thank you for the powerful work that you've done. And I mean that with all my heart, and that you continue to do. And I believe just with this short time, you've reminded us today that healing is not one size fits all. It has a language, it has a rhythm, it has roots in culture, community, and compassion. And that's so, so key. So to our listeners, if you are a provider, may this conversation challenge and inspire you to listen more deeply. And if you are a parent, of a young person or someone struggling, may this episode remind you that you are not alone. There are people like Dr. Garcia who have spent their entire lives building bridges to meet you exactly where you are. And at the end of this, or when we post this on our station, you're going to have some information on how to contact Dr. Garcia, whether it be by email, or through a website, I'm not sure, but we'll make sure to have information on that. And just remember that healing begins when we feel seen. It grows when we feel understood, and it becomes sustainable when we are honored fully, culturally, and soulfully. Like Dr. Garcia said, spiritually, bring that aspect into it, right? So until next time on Soul Synergy Network, be gentle with yourself, stay open to the rhythm of your own healing, and remember that your story matters. Go to the subscribe button, subscribe to our podcast station, and you'll be getting more and more information on different topics, wellness topics that I know will be helpful, and I will continue to bring forth messages and teachings on grief and navigating through grief. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to sign up and to go to our website as well. You'll see that on the screen. But until next time, como se dice, sí se puede, right, doctor?
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede, right? You can do this. And bendiciones. God bless you with all of my heart. Until next time.
Thank you. God bless you too, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.